Well, about 6 years ago, Wellington College had under 700 students. They had just we'd recently appointed Anthony Selden as the master, and now we have nearly 1,100 students ranging from 13 to 18. 5 years ago, we introduced the IB Diploma, which I suppose is the most famous, well-known, familiar qualification that the IB offers in the sixth form as an alternative to A-level. 3 years ago, we went one step further and introduced the middle years programme as an alternative to GCSE. We did that for various reasons, and I'm happy to take questions about that. Take-up has been good. Our numbers have been steady. About 1 in 3.5 students in the sixth form study the diploma, and it's the same percentage in the middle school for MYP. Now the MYP, I'll start with the MYP first because that's probably the most unfamiliar. This is the IB run 3 programs. They are an independent organisation based in The Hague, Geneva. They're based all around the world, of course. And they run 3 programs: the primary years programme, the middle years programme, and the IB Diploma. And the middle years programme is an alternative to GCSEs, as we say. The most, I suppose, radical and challenging thing that the middle years programme has, which is distinct from GCSE, is that there are no external examinations, which means that they still get assessed, the students still get assessed. They end with a certificate. It looks familiar to anybody who has knowledge of IB, namely they'll get a 7, top grade in history, they'll get a 6, second best grade, let's say, in chemistry, and so on and so on. So a typical student from Wellington, they have to do maths GCSE and English language GCSE. We insist on them doing that. But if they did the middle years programme, a typical student might leave with 10 MYP subjects plus some GCSEs. And I'll come to what universities think about MYP in due course. Now, the EBAC that Michael Gove is in the process of introducing is an attempt by the government to ensure that all students do a core of subjects, and those core subjects have what he continues to say, an academic rigour, which he has also said that certain other GCSEs don't have. Whether it's a baccalaureate is open to question, and it depends how you define that word baccalaureate. Michael Gove is a great fan of the IB, been on record plenty of times about how much he admires the diploma. But of course, the IB is independent of government control or meddling, or however you want to define that, which has meant that there's been 0 grade inflation in the diploma for 44 years. Compare and contrast that with A-level. So it's an independent, truly independent qualification. So this is the middle years programme. The language takes a little bit of getting used to, but in language A they'll do English, literature. In humanities they'll have a choice of there's history, geography, and so on. Familiar subjects: technology, mathematics, arts, sciences. Now this one here is compulsory as well, physical education. The IB believe in a holistic education, so that all students doing the MYP will do a course in PE. This is probably going to change. In 2014, the IB will introduce a new MYP programme, which will have some external examinations, should you want to offer it as a school. And PE may be optional for those schools. And these things in here are, they're called approaches to learning. And really, again, very distinct from GCSE, which don't insist on any sort of pedagogical framework. You just basically teach GCSE, you cover the coursework, you get it done as quickly as possible, and you try your best to make sure that your students get A stars or A. You don't really worry about what they're doing in history if you're an English teacher, or what they're doing in maths. To use a modish phrase, you are in your own silo, concentrating on your own classes and trying to get them to get the best results. What attracted us to MYP is that it is an integrated programme. So it is interdisciplinary as well. History teachers know what they're doing, but they also know what they're doing in the English department, and we plan courses accordingly so that we reinforce learning in other subjects, through other subjects, but they are distinct as well. You will do chemistry, you will do mathematics, you will do English. So to summarise the MYP, middle years programme, one of 3 IB programmes. When you join Wellington, all third form do MYP. They then take a choice between doing GCSE or MYP. And as I say, about 1 in 3 students are electing to do MYP. It promotes independent learning. And another big difference with MYP is visualise it, if you like a ring donut. The donut part of it is the assessment, and inside, where the hole is the course itself, which is written and designed by Wellington teachers for Wellington students. So it's not a one-size-fits-all qualification, which GCSE is for a vast range of abilities. It is tailored to Wellington students. We've written our own courses. So the English course, the English literature course, is infinitely more interesting than GCSE literature. They could be doing King Lear rather than just snippets of Macbeth or Romeo and Juliet, if they're able enough. It just gives us greater flexibility. It's much more interesting. So the scientists can just dump all the stuff they think is boring, tedious, and not fit for the sixth form, and actually do stuff that they think prepares students for A-level or diploma in the middle school. It's continuous assessment. We then submit our grades to the IB. They take a sample of the work and either endorse the mark or move us up or down, just like coursework with GCSE. So there's some distinctions. Again, MYP, continuous assessment. It might be just traditional essays in English. It could be presentations. It could be practicals in science. It could be, you can do anything you want. Creative writing, there's much more flexibility, but it does have that rigour. Courses written by Wellington teachers and endorsed by the IB. Assessment tasks written by Wellington teachers, and the marking is checked by the IB. GCSE has a coursework element, of course. Principally now, end of course examinations, and that will probably be strengthened even further with the EBAC. Course content decided by exam boards, AQA, EdXL, and everybody knows what a fantastic job they do with that. And exams written by exam boards and assessed by exam boards. And again, as you know, the sort of malaise that GCSE has slumped into recently is as a direct result of the disorganisation and the sort of what we think in Wellington, the almost systemic chaos of UK exam boards. So these are some of the typical questions. I'll get onto the diploma quite soon. And you may want to think about these questions and ask me these. Is the MYP harder than GCSE? Well, it's just more flexible. We do have a range of abilities in Wellington. We felt that the sort of very able students were not being stretched by GCSE. So we can create courses which are just more demanding and prepare them better for diploma and A-level. But conscious of the fact also that those students who may not be particularly able in that particular subject might benefit from a more flexible subject. The second one, does the MYP suit a particular kind of child? Not really. We have a range of students doing it. There are fewer examinations, of course, in MYP, none at all, in fact. And those students who benefit from a more holistic approach to learning, which is not assessed right at the end of the 2 years, that may be a factor as well. But of course, we're moving away from from the need for a qualification at the age of 16. School will be compulsory up to 18. And so why is this country constantly obsessed with this transitional phase between 16 at the end of the fifth form, year 11? Probably will become redundant in a matter of years. I'll come to what British universities think about the MYP, but of course it's very familiar to overseas universities. The majority of students doing MYP are based in Europe and the United States, with a growing number in Asia Pacific. And what skills does the MYP teach that appeal to employers? Well, the employers that we've talked to are consistent, and you've probably read about these skills in the press. They want students who are literate, numerate, can speak a second language. All those things, of course, can be provided by GCSE. But again, we think that the fact that we can design our own courses, we can put those skills, those problem-solving skills, at the heart of MYP. Go back. Well, here are two universities, and this is what the Director of Admissions at Cambridge said about MYP. Jeff Park said, the MYP provides a much more engaging, stimulating, stretching and general satisfactory experience than GCSE. And Mike Nicholson, Director of Admissions at Oxford, said, candidates who wish to be stretched should, in my view, take the MYP. The rigour and work ethic it encourages will assist them strongly if they wish to progress to a degree that will require them to really engage with their subject discipline. So two views from Oxford and Cambridge. We've had similar views expressed by London universities as well. So then it's not something that is completely weird and unfamiliar to these universities. They are familiar with them, and they will become increasingly familiar as the numbers grow. I thought you might want to see some examples of MYP courses. So we try to get the students to think in a more abstract way. There is that rigour at the heart of MYP, but we're always conscious of those interviews at Oxford and Cambridge, the sort of questions that students might be asked at those highly selective universities, and we want to promote not just sort of the spoon feeding that can happen, but we want to promote a different approach, a fresher approach to learning. So there are those some of the key questions that you might find forming a part, a unit question as they call it in MYP, in our MYP courses. I don't understand the second one at all. I'm an English teacher, but apparently it makes sense to a mathematician. They laugh about it anyway, but mathematicians, in my experience, tend to be quite strange. Moving on to the diploma, and don't ask me those questions at the end of this session because I will only know the answer to one or two. Now, this is a little bit more familiar. The diploma has been taught in English schools, British schools, for over 40 years. It is the second most familiar qualification to universities in the UK after A-level, so it is well established, and it is trusted, as I say, zero grade inflation for over 40 years, a 7 being the highest grade, and I'll just run through the differences between IB and A-level. So you see A-level on the left-hand side, and this is only for Wellington, I hasten to add. The students for A-level would start AS with 4 A-levels. Some will do 5. More commonly, they will start with 4, and a sizable proportion will drop an AS subject and then drop down to 3 A2 exams in the upper 6th. We promote it as a specialist package. It has they call an EPQ, extended project, public exams every 6 months, university requirements, and a growing number we've seen this year of universities requiring A stars. Typical offers used to be sort of to get into Oxford or Cambridge, 2 A's and a B. Now you're seeing Cambridge sometimes asking for 3 A stars at A level. So we, those students that want to do maths, further maths, chemistry and biology should do A level. Similarly, those who want to specialise in languages or any sort of specialisation, we want them to do A-level. They can't do IB, but there is a degree of specialisation in the diploma, which is attractive to universities. So with IB, again, this may be very familiar to you. 6 subjects, 3 higher, 3 standard. It is structured, flexible at its core. They call it the core. Theory of knowledge, which is not a philosophy course, it's a critical thinking course. The extended essay, 4,000 words on the subject of your choice, and creativity action service, a compulsory part where it's not just community service, it can be much more creative as well. And then, like the old A-level really, all the exams at the end of the upper 6th, no exams at the end of the lower 6th. There is coursework, which accounts for about 30% of the final grade, but in 70% roughly of the marks you get in the diploma are on the final exams. I'll zip through this. How long have I got? Okay. This is the sort of thing we'll say to our 6th formers. These are the sort of skills that we expect and the knowledge that we expect students leaving Wellington will require. And we would emphasize something like this: knowing a second or even a third language. Mandarin is taught in Wellington. Increasingly, we think it's the case that students will need that second or third language, but they may not get that if they choose A-level, if they specialise. Move on. That's a picture very familiar to the MYP, but that's the diploma again. All the students do English. They will all do Group 2, second language. They will all do individuals and societies, which is history or geography or economics. Mathematics, they all do maths. There are 3 levels of mathematics. High-level mathematics, which is phenomenally difficult. Standard level, which is sort of closer to AS stroke A2, but more like AS level. And then below that, math studies, which is a step up from GCSE. So all those students have to do mathematics. And then the experimental sciences, chemistry, physics, biology, etc. And then the arts, which is some flexibility here, but they do have the option of doing music or visual art or drama. I'll zip through these because you'll hear this phrase when you talk about IB and A level. A level has more depth, but the IB has more breadth. Well, I would challenge that because I think the 3 high-level subjects that the students have to take at IB offer greater depth than A2. I teach both A-level English literature and high-level English at IB, and there's no doubt in my mind that high-level English in the IB is a tougher course and a more demanding course than English literature A-level. And it's more creatively and imaginatively constructed, but it's still very traditional. You wouldn't be scared of it. They all have to do Shakespeare. They will do the Romantics. They will do Pope. They might do, so it's. But they will also do other elements as well. So so they do 3 high level, 3 standard level, assessed by coursework and examinations. You can see the sort of subjects that we're offering in Wellington there. Now, the students who left Wellington last year, who wanted to become medics, had really very, very generous offers, much more generous than A-level. The top mark you can get in IB is 45 points, and something like 0.01% of those doing IB and globally will get 45 points. We had 1 or 2, I think 2 last year. Phenomenally difficult to get 45 points. But scale that down, and universities like Manchester were asking for 34 points to read medicine, eminently achievable by a lot of students. And so the offers for medicine from very good universities were more generous than A-level. So this is the sort of thing we'll say a typical student wanting to do IB can do biology, can do chemistry high level, could also do English standard level, could do mathematics high level, and that's immediately attractive to Cambridge or whatever university you're thinking of studying philosophy, because then they could look at the ethics in medicine. They could do their extended essay on an aspect of medicine to deepen their knowledge still further, and may want to do Latin.
Do you also offer psychology?
We offer psychology, yes, but we offer it online. It's done. It's an online course provided by the IB, supervised by a teacher, and that runs with about 3 or 4 students every year. It tends to be the case as well. I probably should put this in. This is a generalisation, but at least in Wellington and in my last school, the IB classes were generally smaller than A-level, particularly in very popular subjects like economics. So there is a greater sort of intimacy and because there's just fewer students doing it in the 6th form. Global entrepreneur, somebody who wants to do business, might read economics high level, politics standard level, there's that mathematics high level again, and may want to do Mandarin standard level and English high level to develop those communication skills. Again, there's the core TOK extended essay. If somebody wants to do to become a dramatic artist, might do drama high level, art high level, could go down to maths studies, which is a pretty accessible maths course. The compulsory science environmental systems there is quite similar to, it's a cross between geography and biology, but it counts as a science. Then they could do French, English high level. Moving on, because I've got a linguist could do Mandarin, French and Spanish. Carries on with English, of course, might do environmental systems and maths. So there is that flexibility. This was carried out by by the IBO. But this is 71 universities surveyed, and a new report has just reinforced this, which was published last week. It was reported in the Evening Standard that it is overwhelmingly the case that UK admissions officers favour the IB over A-level, for these various reasons. I won't read them out. But they do like the extended essay, they do like TOK, they do like high-level subjects. They also like the fact there's been zero grade inflation. A lot of the university admissions tutors that we talk to have no idea anymore what an A is in a particular subject, or what an A star is. A star is so new, they still don't quite know what the standard is, and with a grade A, again, they don't know. So you're seeing quite odd offers from some universities, and the A star, which was supposed to address the difficulties that the A grade had found itself in, doesn't really seem to have addressed that at all, because you'll probably see some grade inflation in A star as well. This was Wellington's results. If you look at what I've written in red there, this year the outgoing upper sixth, 97% of IB students from Wellington got their first choice university compared to 79% of A-level students. Those are our marks, so our grades. So you can see they've been gradually creeping up. We've offered a diploma for 5 years. So this year we had an average of nearly 38 points. Probably next year it will be at 39 points. It's out of a total of 45 points. The average offer from Cambridge will be 39 points. But there will be some nuances in that offer, and Cambridge might ask for 39 points, but they'll ask for a 7 in history if you're studying history. And again, that's one of the reasons why they like IB. This digital greater flexibility. They can ask for 39 points, a 7 in history, a 7 in English, and a 6 in, I don't know, economics. They can't do that at A level. It's basically just 3 grades that they can ask for. So they do like that flexibility. And that's it. 20 minutes.